Nightmare Night 3, GhostPony's Pirate Adventure. The night begins. It was a crisp evening in Ponyville, the sky alight with a deep orange hue as the sun set, casting long shadows over the streets. Pumpkins glowed from every doorstep and the air buzzed with excitement. Nightmare Night had arrived once again. Ghost Pony adjusted the brim of his pirate hat, the faux leather tricorn sitting atop his head just right. His pirate costume was complete with a long, tattered coat, a sword at his side, and a pair of shiny boots. He gave himself a quick look in the mirror. "Ah, I be the fiercest pirate in all of Ponyville!" he growled, grinning to himself. His wife, Princess Kincaid, stood nearby in her mad scientist costume, her lab coat covered in suspicious stains, goggles resting atop her head, and a strange beaker filled with bubbling green liquid in her hoof. Kincaid raised an eyebrow, smirking. "And I'll be conducting some experiments on you if you don't behave yourself tonight, Captain Ghost Pony," she teased, pushing her goggles down over her eyes. Ghost Pony chuckled. "Aye, and I'll gladly let ye if it means more of that special love potion of yours." Just then, their son Jack Farmer trotted in, proudly showing off his costume. He was dressed as Oliver the cat, with fake whiskers painted on his face and a plush tail swishing behind him. "Dad, Mom, check me out," he said excitedly, striking a pose. Ghost Pony ruffled Jack's mane. "Ahoy there, little Oliver! Ye look ready to pounce on some treasure!" Jack grinned. "I'm going to get all the candy tonight." The door burst open and Fiery Ratchet entered, dressed as a detective. He adjusted his deerstalker hat and twirled a magnifying glass in his hoof. "Looks like there's a mystery afoot," Fiery Ratchet said, his voice deep and mysterious. "And I'm here to crack the case of who's got the best costume. Don't forget the candy mystery, too," Lightning Bass called out as he entered the room, his Jack Skellington costume making him look tall and skeletal. "It's Nightmare Night, and there's no such thing as too much candy." Mr. Black followed, strutting in his Broadway Willy Wonka costume, a flashy purple coat, a top hat, and a cane. "Tonight's about more than just candy, my friends. It's about theatre, performance, and maybe a bit of magic." Ghost Pony gathered his friends and family by the door. "All right, crew, tonight we sail the seas of Nightmare Night, ready to plunder some candy and maybe cause a little chaos." Everyone cheered, excited for the adventures that awaited. Chapter 2, The Haunted House. The group made their way down the streets, lit only by the glow of jack-o'-lanterns and the soft light of the moon. The air was thick with anticipation as foals ran from house to house, shouting, "Nightmare Night! What a fright! Give us something sweet to bite!" They reached the haunted house at the edge of town, an old, creaky mansion, rumoured to be filled with spooky surprises every nightmare night. Ghost Pony led the way, his sword drawn, as they approached the front gate. Princess Kincaid adjusted her goggles and looked up at the towering structure. "I think I've seen a few experiments go wrong in a place like this before." Fiery Ratchet held up his magnifying glass. "Looks suspicious to me. Let's investigate." Jack Farmer's eyes widened with excitement. "I'm ready! Let's go inside!" They stepped into the mansion and immediately the door slammed behind them with a loud bang. Lightning Bass flinched. "That wasn't part of the plan, was it?" Ghost Pony grinned. "Ah, it's all part of the adventure. Keep your wits about you, mates." As they moved through the dark halls, eerie sounds echoed from every direction. Chains rattled, ghostly whispers floated through the air, and shadowy figures seemed to move just out of sight. Jack stayed close to Ghost Pony's side, his tail swishing nervously. Suddenly, a skeleton popped out from behind a corner. Jack yelped, but Fiery Ratchet quickly shined his magnifying glass on it. "Aha! Just a trick, nothing to worry about." Mr. Black spun his cane, chuckling. "They certainly know how to set the stage here." Ghost Pony laughed. "Come on, we're almost to the treasure room." At the end of the hall, they found a large chest covered in cobwebs. Ghost Pony stepped forward and dramatically opened it. Inside were piles of candy, enough to last for weeks. "Now that's what I call loot," Ghost Pony declared triumphantly. Jack's eyes lit up. "Candy for days." Princess Kincaid took a piece of chocolate and examined it like a scientist. I'll have to run some tests on these later." They filled their bags and headed back out into the night, their hearts racing from the thrill of the haunted house. Chapter 3, The Nightmare Challenge. As they continued their journey through Ponyville, they came upon the town square. where a crowd had gathered for the annual Nightmare Night Challenge, a series of spooky games and contests. The mayor stood on a stage, dressed as a vampire, and called out to the crowd, "Welcome, one and all, to the Nightmare Night Challenge. Who's brave enough to face the terrors and claim the title of Nightmare Champion?" Ghost Pony stepped forward, his pirate sword gleaming. "I be up for the challenge. What say ye, crew?" Everyone cheered in agreement. The first challenge was a race through a maze of hay bales, filled with hidden traps and surprises. Ghost Pony, Princess Kincaid, Fiery Ratchet, Jack, Lightning Bass, and Mr. Black all lined up, ready to race. "On your mark, get set, go," the mayor shouted. They dashed into the maze, dodging fake spiders and leaping over pits filled with slimy goo. Jack led the way, his small size allowing him to slip through tight spaces. Ghost Pony followed close behind, his pirate boots clomping loudly. "I think I saw the exit," Jack called out. "Keep going, mate," Ghost Pony encouraged. They burst out of the maze, victorious, and the crowd cheered. The next challenge was a scavenger hunt, where they had to find hidden objects scattered around the square. Fiery Ratchet's detective skills came in handy as he used his magnifying glass to spot clues. "There! Behind that tree!" Fiery Ratchet said, pointing to a hidden treasure chest. "Great work, Detective," Ghost Pony said, grabbing the chest and holding it high. "We've found the last of the treasure." The final challenge was a costume contest. As they stood on stage, the mayor inspected each costume carefully. A pirate, a mad scientist, a detective, Oliver the Cat, Jack Skellington, and Broadway Willy Wonka, the mayor said with a nod. Quite the ensemble. Mr. Black struck a dramatic pose, spinning his cane with flair. "Theatre is everything, darling." After much deliberation, the mayor made the announcement. "And the winners of the Nightmare Night Challenge are Ghost Pony and his crew." The crowd erupted in applause as Ghost Pony and his friends bowed. Chapter 4. The Pirate's Treasure. With the night drawing to a close, the group returned to Ghost Pony's house, where they gathered around a glowing bonfire in the backyard. Ghost Pony raised his sword. "To another successful Nightmare Night," he declared. "We plundered the candy, solved the mysteries, and conquered the challenges." Princess Kincaid smiled, "And we did it all together." Jack Farmer sat down next to the candy hall, grinning. "I think this was the best Nightmare Night ever." Fiery Ratchet tipped his hat. "I'd say we cracked the case of who had the most fun." Lightning Bass laughed. "And I'm definitely going to eat more candy than I should tonight." Mr. Black, ever the performer, twirled his cane one last time. "And thus our Nightmare Night adventure comes to an end until next year." As the fire crackled and the stars twinkled overhead, Ghost Pony leaned back and smiled. "Aye, until next year, mates. Happy Nightmare Night to you all." The end.